Святейшем Патриарсе Кирилле, честнем пресвитерстве во Христе диаконстве, о всем причте и людях, Господу помолимся. Господи, хранимой стране нашей российской и православных людях ее, в Отечестве России несущих и о спасении их, о стране сей, властях и воинстве, Господу помолимся.
Back up a little bit here. The audio was out for the most part, so maybe turn on closed captions if you wish to catch up. We're closing out maybe the letter 11 here, and we are just going to dive in a little higher than where we were on the page. Unity of thought comes from the Trinity, since by nature the main characteristic of the Trinity is unity and inner peace. Thus, about the last cycles, St. Gregory, love, constantly extended toward God, unites the lovers with God and with each other. In another place, he says more definitively, only love unites creatures with God and with each other in unity of thought. Similar thoughts were expressed by other fathers that represent several excerpts taken at random. St. Basil the Great sees communion as the profoundest organic need of people. Who does not know that man is a meek and sociable animal, not a solitary and savage one? Nothing, after all, is so proper to our nature as to have communion with one another, to need one another, and to love those of one's own kind. Kai agapan to homophilon ki eiustem sunt generis. Between lovers, the membrane itself is torn, and in sees oneself, as it were, one's most intimate essence, one's other I. But this other I is not different from one's own I. A friend is received into the I of the lover. Is profoundly agreeable, приятный, in Russian, or acceptable, приемлемый to the lover. A friend is admitted into the organization of the lover, is not alien to him in any way, is not expelled from him. The loved one, a приятель, friend, but also one who is received, quote unquote, in the original sense of the word, is received by his friend and nestles like a mother's child beneath his heart. Thus, the poet says, though about something somewhat different. There is darkness here, but heat and Christ there. I roam as if in a dream. Feeling only one thing vividly. You are with me, and all of you are in me. The soul's reception, Theology, of a friend's eye, unites two separate streams of life. This living unity is achieved not as the enslavement of one person by the other, and not even as the conscious slavery of one person in relation to the other. Nor can a unity of friends be called a concession. It is precisely a unity. One feels, desires, thinks, and speaks not because the other spoke, thought, desired, or felt in the same way, but because both feel one feeling, desire with one will, think one thought, speak with one voice. Each lives by the other, or rather the life of the one and the other flow from a common center, one in itself, placed by the friends above themselves by a creative act. Therefore, the different manifestations of this center are always harmonious by themselves. Yes, by themselves, not through a straining feeling or will, a thought or a verbal formula taken as a principle of unity. Whether it be a verbal formula or a system of such formulas giving a program, this is nevertheless a homoousion unity or alliance, which is not at all the same thing as a homoousian unity, or unity in the strictest sense of the word. Consubstantial. Friends define their friendship not in the plane of semi-illusory and wingless phenomenality, the psychic domain, but in the numinal depths. Therefore, friends form a dual unity, a dyad. They are not they, but something greater, one soul. According to Mark Minitius Philis, his friend Octavius loved him so ardently that in all important and serious matters, and even in all trivial matters, even in amusements, their desires agreed in everything. One could think that the two of them shared one soul. It cannot be any other way, for friends, affirms Lactantius, could not be linked by such a faithful friendship if the two did not have one soul, one thought, one will, and one opinion. A common life is a common joy, a common suffering. Friendship involves not co-rejoicing and co-suffering, but rather the more profound states of consonant rejoicing and consonant suffering. The states of the former type go from the periphery of the soul to its center and refer to those who are comparatively more remote from us. But the joy and suffering of those who are very close to us, arising in the very center of our soul, are directed from there to the periphery. This is not the reflection of an alien state, but one's own consonant state, one's own joy, and one's own suffering. Aristotle, with reference to suffering, was among the first to note this difference of experiences, and Euripides, in his tragedy Heraclius, gives us an artistic demonstration of such a difference. Comparing the sufferings of Amphitryon and Heraclius, and Amphitryon and Theocios. But if intimate ties are in general favorable for consonant experience, the ground that is preeminently suited to them is friendship. According to St. Maximus the Confessor, a faithful friend considers the misfortunes of his friend to be his own, and bears them together with him, suffering unto death. For, in general, the distinctive advantage of love, according to St. Nelos of Sinai, is that it unites everyone unto the most inward disposition of the soul. Owing to such unity, everyone transmits his sufferings to all others, while receiving from others their sufferings. Everyone is responsible for everyone else, and everyone suffers for everyone else. Being united thus by their essence, and forming a rationally unknowable dual unity, friends enter into unity of feeling, will, and thought that completely excludes divergence of feeling, will, and thought. But being actively posited, this unity is not at all a mediumistic mutual possession of persons, not their immersion in an impersonal and indifferent, and therefore unfree, element of the two. This unity is not a dissolution of individuality, not its depreciation, but its raising, consolidating, fortifying, and deepening. This is true all the more certainly for friendship. In friendship, the irreplaceable and incomparable value and originality of each person is revealed in all its beauty. In another eye, the person discovers his own actualized potential, made spiritually fruitful by the other eye. According to Plato, the loving one gives birth in a loved one. Each of the friends obtains a foundation for his own person, finding his own eye in the eye of the other. He who has a Francis Chrysostom has another self. In another place, Chrysostom says, the loved one for the loving one is what he himself is. The nature of love is such that the loving one and the loved one constitute not two separate persons, but one man. Separateness in friendship is only crudely physical, exists only for vision in the most external sense of the word. Therefore, in the Sticheron for the day of the three bishops, on January 30th, one sings of them who lived in different places, as separated in body but united in spirit. But in communal life, even the bodies become one, as it were. Thus, the schema monk Antony of the Kiev Church Clover, and describing the death of our commander at Meliti, writes, for more than 30 years we were in the closest communion of friendship, and during the last 3 years we became like one body and one soul. The power and the difficulty of friendship lie not in the fireworks of the ascesis of the moment, but in the constantly burning patience that lasts a lifetime. This is the quiet flame of holy oil, not the explosion of a gas. Heroism is always only an ornament, not the essence of life, and as an ornament, it necessarily has a theatrical side, taking the place of life. Heroism inevitably degenerates into grease paint, into a pose of greater or lesser verisimilitude. The truest heroism lies in friendship and in what animates it. But here too, heroism is only the flower of friendship, not its stalk and not its root. The heroic squanders, it does not gather. The heroic always lives off something else, is nourished by juices acquired through everyday toil. Here, in the darkness of everyday life, the subtlest and gentlest roots of friendship are concealed, acquiring true life. They are not invisible to any gaze, and sometimes they are not even suspected by anyone. But they nourish the life given in the present, whereas the open flower of heroism, if it is not a barren flower, will produce only the seed of another future friendship. The love of friends refers not to separate spiritual high points, not to the meetings, impressions, and holidays of life, but to all of life's reality, even to banal, everyday existence. The love of friends requires attention to oneself precisely, where the hero, quote-unquote, lets himself go utterly. If it has been said that no man is great for his valet, or rather that no man is a hero for his valet, this is because one is a hero and the other is a valet. For heroism does not express the essential greatness of a person, but only dawns it for a while. For a valet, heroism remains only itself. But in friendship, it is the other way around. Every external act of one friend seems to the other insufficient, because knowing the friend's soul, he sees how every action fails to conform to the inner greatness of his friend's soul. As for heroes, some are amazed by them, others ignore them. Some are carried away by them, others hate them. But a friend is never amazed by his friend and is never indifferent to him. He is not fascinated by him and does not ignore him. He loves, and for love precisely this soul, uniquely this beloved soul, is infinitely dear and priceless. Outweighs the whole world with all its temptations. For philia knows a friend not by his outward pose, not by the dress of heroism, but by his smile, by his quiet talk, by his weaknesses, by how he treats people in ordinary human life, by how he eats and sleeps. One can deliver speeches rhetorically and deceive. One can suffer rhetorically, and one can even die rhetorically and deceive with one's rhetoric. But one cannot deceive with everyday life, and the true test of a soul's authenticity is through life together, in the love of friends. Any person can accomplish one or another act of heroism. Anyone can be interesting, but only my friend can smile, speak, and comfort as he does, no one else. Yes, no one and nothing in the world can compensate me for his loss. The revelation of a person begins in friendship, and therefore real, profound sin and real, profound saintliness begin in it too. One can tell a great lie about oneself in many volumes of writing, but one cannot utter even the smallest lie in living communion with a friend. As in water, face answereth to face, so the heart of man to man. Proverbs 27:19. The relationship of the everyday and the heroic is like the relationship between the features of a face and chance specks of light reflected on it. These specks can produce an effect, but they do not touch what is dear or repulsive for us in the face, what is attractive or hateful. Friendship is indeed built on these half-shadows, defining the features of the face, on smiles simply on life, on that very same life where love or hate gains definitive hegemony. Take away from a man his heroism and he will remain what he is. Attempt to remove from him in thought his deep saintliness or deep love, his secret life and secret sin, expressed in every gesture, and nothing will remain of this man, similar to what happens if hydrogen is removed from water. The final disintegration of a man, this fractional distillation, is wholly accomplished by the Holy Spirit at the end of time. But here and now, this disintegration can be accomplished through a man who loves as a friend, for only he will indicate to us our hidden treasure. Here, once again, the metaphysical nature of friendship is revealed. Friendship is not only psychological and ethical in nature, Ages, all the profound contemplators of life viewed friendship in this way. What is friendship? Self-contemplation through a friend in God. Friendship is the seeing of oneself with the eyes of another, but before a third, namely the third. The I being reflected in a friend, the Drug recognizes in the friend's eye its own other, Drug eye, its own other eye. The image of a mirror naturally comes to mind here, and indeed this image has been knocking on the door for many centuries beyond the threshold of consciousness. Plato uses it, according to the greatest of those who know. Plato's Socrates, a friend sees himself in a loving one as in a mirror, and after almost 2,000 centuries, Schiller echoes him almost exactly. Bozza saw himself in this beautiful mirror that is in his friend Don Carlos, and rejoiced at his own image. This acquisition and recognition of oneself in a friend's constant feeling is concretely represented in Carlos' words to Philip. How sweet, how good and a beautiful soul to transform oneself. How sweet it is to think that our joy paints the cheeks of our friend, that our sadness presses on another breast, that our sorrow makes other eyes wet. But even before Plato, Homer remarked about friendship that divinity always leads like to like, and acquaints them. Plato refers to this passage in Lysis. Nietzsche, following Schiller, affirms that every man has his metron, and that every friendship is two persons, but one common metron, or that, in other words, friendship is the identical order of two souls. But a friend is not only I, but also another I, another for I. However, I is unique, and everything that is other with respect to I is already not I. A friend is I, that is not I. A friend is a contradictio, and an antinomy is interwoven with the very concept of a friend. If the thesis of friendship is identity and similarity, its antithesis is non-identity and non-similarity. I cannot love what is not I, for then I would admit in myself something foreign to myself. Nevertheless, in loving, I desire not what I myself am. Indeed, why do I need what I already have? This self-contradictoriness of friendship is disclosed by the young Plato in Lysis, and is revealed anew by Schiller. Love, he says about friendship, in contrast to what was cited above, arises not between two souls who make the same sound, but between souls that sound in harmony. Also, with satisfaction, writes Julius to his friend Raphael, I see my feelings in my mirror, but with ardent pleasure I devour your higher feelings, which I lack. An exchange of essence, a mutual fulfillment, occurs in love. When I hate, affirms Schiller by the hand of his Julius, I take something away from myself. When I love, I am enriched by what I love. Love enriches. God, Bog, having perfect love, is rich, Bogatie. He is rich with his Son, whom he loves. He is fullness. Similarity and non-similarity, or oppositeness, are equally necessary in friendship, forming its thesis and antithesis. In the Platonic dialectic, this antinomic character of friendship is removed, or rather, it is covered by the concept of ownness. I should say antinomic, not antinomic. We're not talking about antinomianism. Excuse me. In the Platonic dialectic, this antinomic character of friendship is removed, or rather, it is covered by the concept of ownness, combining thesis and antithesis. Friends, according to Plato, are by nature one is a part of the other, fulfilling the metaphysical insufficiency of the other's essence, and therefore homogeneous with the other. But neither the logical notion of ownness nor the equivalent mythical concept of the androgyne, everlasting in its plasticity, can fill the chasm between the two pillars of friendship, for this concept and this image are, in fact, nothing else but an abbreviated designation of the antinomy of I and not I. Friendship can be also compared to consonance. Life is a continuous series of dissonances, but through friendship they are resolved. In friendship, social life acquires a meaning in conciliation, just as a straight unison does not give anything new. Whereas tones that are neighbors, but of different pitch, are combined into sounds intolerable to the ear. So it is in friendship, an extreme closeness in the structure of souls, but with the absence of identity, leads to constant jolts, to sudden dissonances intolerable in their unexpectedness and unpredictability, disturbing like a blinking light. Here, in the concept of consonance, we once again have an antinomy, for the consonant tones must be somehow equal, but at the same time different. But whatever the metaphysical nature of friendship, friendship is an essential condition of life. Friendship gives people self-knowledge. Friendship reveals where and how one must work on oneself. But this transparency of I for itself is attained only in the life interaction of the loving persons. The together of friendship is the source of its strength. Saint Ignatius of Antioch, indicating the mysterious miracle-working power received by Christians from life together, wrote to the Ephesians concerning the synobitic life. Thus, try to gather together more closely to thank and glorify God. For when you are close together in one place, then the powers of Satan are defeated, and the perdition he provokes is removed in the unity of your faith. There is nothing better than the peace in which all war ends between heavenly and earthly things. This passage clearly indicates that the together, quote-unquote, of love must not be limited solely to abstract thought, but necessarily requires palpable, concrete manifestations, including physical closeness. It is necessary not only to love one another, but also to be close together, to attempt as much as possible to come closer and closer to one another. But when our friends closest to each other, if not when kissing, the very word for kiss in Russian, potsiyelui, is close to the Russian word for hole, tselyi, and the Russian verb for to kiss, tselovatsiya, signifies that friends are brought to a state of wholeness, tselostnost, or unity. A kiss is the spiritual unification of the persons kissing. Its connection with friendship, namely with philia, is seen from the Greek word for it, philema. Moreover, as we have already mentioned, philein, with the addition of stomati, with the lips, or without it, means to kiss. It is necessary to live a common life. It is necessary to illuminate and suffuse everyday life with closeness, even outward bodily closeness. Christians will then acquire new, unheard of powers. They will overcome Satan, cleansing and removing all of his impure powers. That is why St. Ignatius writes to St. Polycarp, the bishop of the church of Smyrna, and thus the whole of the whole church: labor together, try together, run together, suffer together, rest together, be awake together, as God's stewards, guests, and servants. Perhaps having before his spiritual eyes these words of his departed teacher, St. Polycarp of Smyrna taught the Philippians, "He who has love, agape, is far from all sin." Here again decided Ignatius, the power of Satan and his perdition. This is also affirmed by others who know the laws of spiritual life. Thus, Father Fyodor, the starets of the Sphere monastery, spoke persuasively but quietly in the manner of the Father before his death. My fathers, for the sake of the Lord, do not part from one another, for now in this time of great troubles, it is difficult to find many people with whom one can exchange a word according to one's conscience. These words are extremely remarkable, for they do not tell one not to be wrathful, not to be angry with one another, or not to quarrel with one another. No, they clearly tell of the necessity of being together outwardly, bodily, empirically, in everyday life. And the Church considered and considers such a life together to be so absolutely necessary, so essentially connected with the best in life, that even over the deceased we hear her voice. It is good, it is beautiful for brothers to dwell together in unity. At the grave of someone dear to me, this sigh concerning friendship entered my heart. I had the thought that, even when all business with life has ended, one remembers with ardent desire the ideal of friendship, life together. There is nothing now. There is not even life itself. Nevertheless, a longing for the communion of friends remains. Does it not follow that friendship is the last word of the properly human element of the Church, the apex of humanity? As long as man remains man, he seeks friendship. The ideal of friendship is not innate in man, but a priori for him. It is a constitutive element of his nature. John Chrysostom even interprets all of Christian love as friendship, and the self-sacrifice of the Apostle Paul, in his readiness to throw himself even into Gehenna for the sake of those he loved. Chrysostom sees the flaming love of friendship. I desire, he says, to present an example of friendship. Friends in Christ are dearer than fathers and sons. Further, he mentions the example of the first Christians of the Jerusalem community depicted in Acts 4:32 and 35. Friendship, Chrysostom continues, is when one does not judge himself to be his own, but to belong to his neighbor, and meanwhile considers his neighbor properly to be foreign to himself. Considers his neighbor's property to be foreign to himself, when one protects the life of another as if it were his own, while the other pays him in the same coin. Chrysostom considers the absence of such friendship to be the sin of mankind and the source of all troubles and even heresies. But where, it will be asked, can one find such a friend? Nowhere, because we do not want to be such, and if we did so want, it would be possible, and even very possible. If this were in fact impossible, Christ would not have commanded it, and would not have spoken so much of love. Friendship is a great thing, but no one can understand how great. No one can express it. It can only be found out through personal experience. The failure to understand this produced heresies. It makes the Greeks even today, and so on. Communal life, the life of the parish, requires being together, co-abiding. But this co refers even more to the life of friends, where concrete closeness has a special force, and here this co acquires an epistemological significance. This co, understood as the bearing of one another's burdens, Galatians 6:2, as mutual obedience, is the vital nerve of friendship, and its cross. Therefore, experienced people have repeatedly insisted on this co over the whole course of church history. Thus, speaking of the life of monks 2 by 2, Thomas of Canterbury cites the folk proverb munis in obsequia famunum, gradicus socium, monachus habet dominium. That is, for a warrior, a novice is a servant. For a cleric, he is a comrade. For a monk, he is a master. Yes, and every friendship, like Christian life in general, is in this sense monasticism. Each of the friends uncomplainingly humbles himself before his life companion, in the same manner as a servant before his master. The French proverb is fully justified here. Qui a compagnon a maître, who has a companion as a master. This is what the obedience of friendship, the bearing of one's friend's cross, consists in. Faithfulness to a once established friendship, the indissolubility of friendship as strict as the indissolubility of marriage, firmness to the end, under the blood of martyrs. That is the fundamental commandment of friendship, and the whole force of friendship lies in the observance of this commandment. There are many temptations to turn away from a friend, to remain alone, or to start new relationships. But a person who has broken off one's friendship will break off another and a third, because he has replaced the way of ascesis with the desire for psychic comfort. And psychic comfort will not be achieved, cannot and should not be achieved in any friendship. On the contrary, ascesis lends strength to a friendship. When one builds a wall, the more water one pours on the bricks, the stronger the wall will be. It is the same with friendship. The more tears one sheds because of friendship, the stronger the friendship will become. Tears are the cement of friendship. Not all tears, but only those that are shed because love cannot express itself, or because of the pain caused by the friend. And the more friendship there is, the more tears there will be. And the more tears there are, the more friendship there will be. Tears and friendship are the same as water in a fire and an alcohol distillery. The more water one pours, the higher the flame will rise. And it would be a mistake to think that tears come only from a deficiency of love. No. There are seeds that sprout in our soul only under a rain of tears shed because of us. And these seeds bring forth beautiful flowers and healing fruits. And I do not know if I could love anyone who would not make anyone cry. Very often, those who love the most strongly cause the most suffering, for who knows what tender and shy cruelty is usually the restless sister of love. Love seeks proofs of love everywhere, but who is not inclined to find these proofs first in the tears of the loved one? Even death would not be sufficient to convince the loving one if he decides to hear out the demands of love, for the instant of death seems too brief for the intimate cruelty of love. Beyond death, there is room for a sea of doubts. Those who die together do not die, perhaps without anxiety. Here, long and slow tears are needed. Sorrow is the main food of love, and every love that is not nourished, at least a little, by pure sorrow, dies like a newborn that is fed like a grown-up. It is necessary, alas, that love cry, and very often, at the same moment that the psalms are released, the chains of love are forged and tempered for all of life. Sooner or later, the inner closeness of persons, the closest intertwining of two inner worlds, manifests itself. Before I loved thee as a brother, but now I do respect thee as my soul, says one of Shakespeare's heroes. Previously, the relationship was superficial, external. Now it has plunged down to the mystical roots of friends. The communion of souls occurs not now in phenomena, but deeper. According to the Russian proverb, a friend is not dear because he is good, because he is dear. Every outsider seeks mine, not me, whereas a friend wants not mine, but me. The apostle writes, I seek not yours, but you, 2 Corinthians 12:14. An outsider looks for the work, quote unquote, whereas a friend looks for me, myself, quote unquote. An outsider wants yours, receive from you, from your fullness that is a part, and this part disappears in the hands like foam. Only a friend, wanting you, however you are, receives in you all fullness and is enriched by it. To receive from fullness is easy. It is to live on someone else's account. And to give from fullness is not difficult, but to receive fullness itself is difficult. For it is first necessary to receive a friend himself and to find fullness in him. But a friend cannot be accepted without our giving ourselves. But to give oneself is difficult. A superficial and peripheral gift requires a superficial and peripheral payment, whereas a profound and central gift requires a profound and central giving. Therefore give to outsiders from your fullness, from yourself, with a generous hand. Do not be a miser in what is yours, but give your meagerness yourself only to your friend, secretly, but not before your friend tells you. I ask not for yours, but for you. I love not yours, but you. I care not about yours, but about you. With the revelation of each and each begins among friends, the whole person becomes transparent in all his fullness, to the point of the friends being able to see what is hidden, to the point of clairvoyance. In every friendship that is of some duration, says Maurice, my darling, there comes the mysterious moment when we begin to distinguish, so to speak, the precise place of our friend in relation to the unknown that surrounds him, the attitude of fate toward him. From this moment on, he really belongs to us. An infallible knowledge, it appears, was born in our soul without cause the day when our eyes were opened in such a way, and we are certain that a certain event that apparently is lying in wait for a certain person will not be able to overtake him. Henceforth, a special part of the soul reigns over the friendship of even the dimmest beings. A sort of transposition of life occurs, and when we accidentally meet one of those whom we have come to know thus, and speak with him about the falling snow or about women who are passing by, there is in each of us something that greets the other, examines, questions without our knowledge. It is interested in coincidences and speaks about events that are impossible for us to understand. This interpenetration of persons is the task, not the given, in a friendship. When this interpenetration is achieved, it is in the nature of things that friendship becomes unbreakable, and faithfulness to the person of the friend stop being an ascesis, because it cannot be violated. In the absence of such a higher unity, faithfulness is, as the Church consciousness has always considered it, something necessary not only for the preservation of friendship, but even for the very life of the friends. The keeping of a friendship gives everything, while the betrayal is a betrayal not only of the friendship, but even places in jeopardy the very spiritual existence of the unfaithful one. For the souls of the friends had already begun to grow together. There is a passion that lies in wait for friendship, a passion that can instantly tear apart the most sacred of ties. This passion is rage. It is what friends must be most afraid of. One psychologist asks, nothing so unrestrainedly destroys the effect of prohibitions as rage, because its essence is destruction, and only destruction. Is multi-characterized war. This property of rage makes it an invaluable ally of any other passion. The most valuable and rights to tear any relations and ties. We find a kind of cruel joy in destruction, and what bears the name of weakness of character is apparently reducible, in the majority of cases, to the inability to sacrifice one's lower eye and everything that seems dear to it. I would like to cite two tales taken from Vitae that clarify the Church's view of the necessity of remaining faithful to a friendship. A tale entitled Of Two Brothers in Spirit, of the Deacon of Vagaries and the priest Titus, which was very widespread and popular in its time, recounts how the love of friends was destroyed by a fit of anger, and what were the terrible consequences of this destruction. This tale is depicted to edify the community on the vestibule wall of the church of the Zosimos Hermitage near the Trinity St. Sergius Lavra. Here it is. There were two brothers in spirit at the Patriarch's monastery, the deacon of Vagaries and the priest Titus. Between them was a great and sincere love, and all were amazed by their spiritual unity and immeasurable love. The devil, who hates goodness and always roars like a lion, seeking to devour someone, created hostility and hatred between them. They did not want to see each other's face, and kept away from each other, although the brothers implored them many times to mend their friendship. When Vagaries was in the church, and Titus approached him with a censer, Vagaries fled the incense, and when he did not do so, Titus passed by without sensing him. And for a long time they remained in the darkness of this sin. Titus served without asking for forgiveness, while Vagaries took communion, while in a state of anger, for the enemy had harmed them. It happened that Titus fell gravely ill and lay in despair, and he cried even more over his loss. He sent for the deacon with supplication to tell him, "Forgive me, brother, in the name of God, for I had toward thee an insane anger." The latter cursed him with cruel words, and the monks, seeing that Titus was dying, forcibly compelled Vagaries to take leave of his brother. When the sick man saw his brother, he fell to earth at his feet, crying, and said, "Forgive me, Father, and bless me." The other, pitiless and cruel, refused, and said before all of them, "I do not want to have any forgiveness with him, neither in this world nor in the next." Then he escaped from the hands of the brothers and fell away, or then fell. They wanted to raise him up, but he was dead. They could not straighten his arms or close his lips. It was as if he had been dead for a long time. Meanwhile, the sick man got up a little later, as if he had not been sick at all. The monks were terrified by the sudden death of one and the sudden healing of the other, and with many tears they buried Vagaries, his mouth and eyes opened and his arms extended. They asked Titus what had happened. He confessed to the monks, "I saw angels who stepped away from me and who cried over my soul, while demons were rejoicing in my anger. And then I started to ask my brother to forgive me. When he was brought to me, I saw an implacable angel who held a fiery lance, and when he did not forgive me, the angel struck him, and he fell dead. Then the angel held out his hand to me and set me on my feet." Abba Jacob said, "As the lamp lights the dark chamber, so the fear of God enters a man's heart, enlightens him, and teaches him all of God's commandments. I order to clarify what I call faithfulness to friendship. I will present a tale of the Blessed John Moschus about two Jerusalem ascetics who were friends. Here's the fragrant flower from the artless and graciously simple spiritual meadow." This is what Abba John the Hermit, called the Fiery One, said. I heard the following from Abba Stephen the Moabite. Once we were in the monastery of the great Cenobite, St. Theodicy. There were two brothers there who vowed that they would part from each other neither in death nor in life. Even though they were pillars of the community, One of the brothers was attacked by lust, and not having the strength to withstand the struggle, told his brother, "Let me go, brother, because lust is defeating me, and I aim to go into the world." His brother began to admonish him and said, "No, brother, do not spoil your labor." The other brother answered him, "Either go with me so that I could do the deed, or let me go." The brother, not wishing to let him go, went with him to the city. Then the brother who had yielded to the struggle entered a prostitute's den, and the elder brother, standing outside, began to sprinkle some earth on his head and to lament powerfully. When the one who had been with the prostitute came out, having done the deed, the other brother told him, "What good, my brother, did you gain from this sin? Did you not rather harm yourself? Let us return to our place." The other told him, "I can no longer return to the desert, but you go, I'll remain in the world." But when, after many efforts, he nevertheless did not succeed in persuading his friend to follow him back to the desert, he too remained in the world, and both began to work to feed themselves. It was at this time that Abraham, a splendid, callous, and humble pastor, who had recently founded his monastery of so-called Abrahamites, and who later had become the Archbishop of Ephesus, was building his monastery, and the so-called monastery of the Byzantines. Having gone away, both brothers began to work there and to receive payment, and the one fallen in lust would take the payment of both, go every day to the city, and spend it on debauchery. The other fasted every day and took great silence upon himself. When doing his work, he did not speak with anyone. The masters, every day seeing him not eating, not speaking, but always in contemplation, mentioned him and his saintly way of life to Abraham. The great Abraham called the laborer into his cell and asked him, "Where are you from, brother, and what is your occupation?" He confessed to him everything, and told him, "For the sake of my brother I bear everything, so that God, seeing my sorrow, will save my brother." When he heard this, the divine Abraham told him, "And the Lord gave to you your brother's soul." As soon as Abraham let the brother go, and he left the cell, there appeared before him his brother, exclaiming, "My brother, take me to the desert, so that I will be saved." He immediately took him to a cave near the holy Jordan, and shut him in the cave, and a short while later, having advanced greatly in his spirit toward God, the friend who was shut in the cave passed away. His brother remained in the same cave, in accordance with the vow he had made, so that he too would pass away there. Here are some more features of friendship sketched by life itself. After the death of one dear to me, I acquired his diary. Among many other of life's difficulties, the deceased had been tormented by the tragic character of friendship, by the necessity of sacrificing one's soul for one's friend, or more precisely, by the apparent meaninglessness of such a sacrifice. And it appears to me that there was much mutual misunderstanding. It also appears to me that the deceased did not succeed in humbling himself to the end. But to clarify my thought and give a concrete idea of friendship, his notes are valuable material. I present several fragments, gathered almost at random, from different places in this diary, almost in their raw form. We'll pick up with that next time. Thank you.
смирением и страхом Божиим ходящий конь, Господу помолимся. Всякие скорби, гнева и нужды, Господу помолимся. Господи, помилуй. Заступи, спаси, помилуй и сохрани нас, Боже, Твоею благодатью. Господи, помилуй. Для всего совершенно, свято, мирно и безгрешно, угодно